Welcome back to another episode of the podcast Come Over for Dinner. I'm so glad you're joining me. Today I have a very special guest. Her name is Jenny. She is a pastor's wife married to Toby Sumpter. He's a pastor of King's Cross Church here in Moscow, Idaho. He has recently written a book titled No Mere Mortals, a book on marriage, which I need to obtain and read. I have yet to get this book, but I've heard great things about it. He's also authored other books. She is a teacher at Logos School. She teaches fourth grade. This is her fifth year at Logos School. And she is a mother of 4 children, the oldest of which recently graduated and is now a freshman at New St. Andrews College. So one out of the house. How is that going?
It's good.
A little bit different when one starts to step their toe out of the nest.
That's right.
So welcome, Jenny.
Thank you for having me on.
Okay, well, tell us a little bit more about you. So I know those things about you, but I know there's lots more. So tell us a little bit more about yourself.
Yeah, well, I think, let's see, I was originally born in Maryland. I'm from Baltimore. The same year I was born, Toby was born in Portland, Oregon. So just about on opposite coasts as you could get.
It was meant to be for y'all to meet.
Yes, he moved from, he was West Coast boy. He grew up in California and then Alaska, and his parents moved him to Maryland, practically to my backyard in the 9th grade, from Alaska to Maryland.
Wow.
And then from Maryland, I met Toby in high school when we were 14 years old. And then he came out for New St. Andrews in 1998. And then we got married in 2000, halfway through school. And this is now home. And I've now been out of Maryland longer than in it. And Idaho's home. And we've raised our kids here. Minus 2 years in South Carolina. We went there for seminary. And then just 2 years there, had my girls there. So I had Southern Belles and then right back.
Good to add a little bit of South in there.
Yes, just a little bit.
So you said 2 girls and 2 boys, right?
Yes.
And I had forgotten when I mentioned that your son is attending NSA. You and your husband both graduated from NSA.
Well, my husband did. I graduated actually from the University of Idaho.
University of Idaho. How is it for him to have his son now at his alma mater, so to speak?
It's wonderful. We just look at him and think he is in such a better place than where we were. And I think it's because we got to raise him in this community.
Sure.
And so it was good for us, but we just look at him and we think it's just even better.
Yes.
You know,
it's wonderful as you're raising children and as they start to step out on their own that you can see them standing on your shoulders like they're better than you are. And my husband and I have always told our children that, we want you to be better than we were, or we are, that's our goal. We really would not envy that in any way. We really hope that we can achieve as parents an upbringing that helps you to be better than we were, and then that just continues.
Yes,
generationally.
we just look at it and marvel and are just so thankful.
Yes.
So thankful.
Okay. Well, tell us, with, of course, 4 children at home, and then you're a pastor's wife. I know you are busy hosting guests, having friends and family over. Tell me one of your very favorite menus.
Okay. So the one I brought you is one of the Sabbath dinners that we really love to do. I wanted to say it's 3 years ago this February that my husband called me while I was at school and said, so I invited my family in town. There's 6 Sumpter kids, and 4 of the 6 are here in town. He says, so I want you to know I invited them over every Saturday, like from here on. And I went, okay, that's great. Like, great.
Let's go.
He doesn't usually surprise me with things like that, but it was good because, we live in town with them and we see them maybe once a month or when family comes into town. And we thought we need to see
we need to connect with them every week.
Yes. And we've already had been doing our Sabbath traditions, making a little special, inviting people, but there was no routine. There was no real rhythm. And so this was wonderful. We've established this February will be 3 years. And so you get habits and routines and favorite menus, and we've learned so much from it, and we've really been so grateful for the investment in each other. And so when we hit, hard things, like when my sister-in-law lost her dad suddenly, we're able to rally around, and the kids aren't nervous, and we're building traditions and connecting. And so anyway, we've been doing this for 3 years with Sumpters in this particular way, and we add other people.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Yes. And it becomes easier, I'm sure. I mean,
Yes.
now that you have systems in place or recipes or menus that you've repeated,
Right.
it probably isn't near as daunting as it was in the beginning.
Right.
Doing it every single week.
Right. I had to have my routine. And, I probably learned from mistakes that I make and like, oh, this,
Yes.
and I still make mistakes like this Christmas. Then, I've been making Sabbath meals for them. We're sort of default. Sometimes my sister-in-laws do it. And we did Christmas. I want it to be so special. And my prime rib was a little bit frozen in the center. And I served dinner 2 hours late. I'm like, the first time I'm going to serve dinner hours late. It's Christmas. But
it's a memorable Christmas.
It was. It felt like, they said, it felt like we were the French. We just paused, opened presents, and just waited for
really
that.
Savored the day and enjoyed the long meal.
Right, the 8:00 dinner. But it was delicious, but it was 2 hours late.
Oh, well, when you starve your guests, somehow the food tastes even better.
Right. We actually served like a salad and the fruit early, like at 5:30 or 6. And one of my nephews thought that was dinner. And he's like, good. Well, good enough.
Yeah, we're done.
I'll take it. Yes.
So 8:00 dinners for Christmas is just a fun memory to throw in there.
I know we might need to just turn it into a tradition.
Do salad and fruit, or salad and bread ahead of time. Do presents and then your prime rib.
Yes. Yeah, the 2-year-olds probably were the least jazzed about
they
it.
They weren't real big fans.
They were
most likely.
As soon as they ate their supper, the ones with the 2-year-old, they just went home. They were done.
Like, we're done. Kids are going to bed.
They start crying.
They're hangry.
Yeah,
they were beyond hangry.
Yes.
Okay, so your menu. Oh, and let me ask you real quick about your Sabbath dinner. Do y'all do it on Saturday night?
We do. Okay. Yes, because I think with Toby preaching, and I think we've learned this from the Wilsons, so we've just done it for years, but he preaches 2 services, so he's really tired on Sundays. We have to be strategic if we're going to entertain. One time we did it, and I just thought, it's just painful. Like I know he's so tired. He's so tired. So we kick off Saturday night.
That's with
it. And it's
very good
really
idea.
sweet. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so, that's we do Saturday nights.
And I forgot to mention in the introduction, he also is part owner of Fight Laugh Feast Network.
That's right.
And so not that he's doing that on Sunday, but that's another big part of his week.
Sure.
I don't know if they do it on Saturday.
They do. No, it's daily, but it's Monday through Wednesday.
Monday through Wednesday.
Monday through
Friday.
Yes.
But you do that a full week, plus all your regular job duties, your pastoral duties, and then Saturday hits, and it's like, whew.
Yeah.
You sure don't want to do it on Sunday. Does he take Monday off? No, he does Monday, Fight Laugh Feast.
No, he doesn't take Monday off.
So.
Yeah. No, we just get him his nap on Sunday.
Yes.
That's good.
That's good.
Yes. So we do
not inviting people over. So Saturday night, Sabbath dinner.
Yes. So I did the pork ribs, and anyone with a Traeger will probably just be ashamed of this recipe. It's very simple. This is for those of you without, fancy means of cooking it, but it's well received at our house, and it's just kind of a Southern meal, I guess. I'm a little nervous because you're actually real Southern, so it's my perception of what
judge
Southern
you
is.
harshly.
So, Sumpters are from, Texas and Alaska, so I've known them since I was
opposite ends of the spectrum.
But it's the oil industry is the connection, because his grandfathers were in the oil business. And so that's connection in Alaska and in Texas. So
they probably carried their Southern recipes up to Alaska, probably learned some really fun things from Alaska, carried those down to Texas.
Yes. And there's still folks in Alaska and Texas. And so it's both. But the Texas, I think, is really shaped maybe the Sumpters a little bit, because I think growing up, the only restaurants I've ever been to with them for years were either Mexican or like Texas Roadhouse, like barbecue.
Yes.
So that's like comfort food to them. That and casseroles. And so I think this meal appeals to that Texas side of them.
Yes.
And so I don't know how authentic it is, but it's well received. And
I feel like in the South there, like all of America is a melting pot, but so many people have moved. Obviously in the South, there is a lot of Tex-Mex.
Yes.
But I was talking to a friend who said that in California it was called like Cali-Mex. I'd never heard of that.
Okay.
But it's like different, a little bit different than the Texas Mexican.
I think there's different Mexicans, because we even in South Carolina lived next to some Mexican neighbors, and when they made us tacos, I went, that's not tacos. That's not what I call tacos. Yeah, this is different. It was good.
I always consider the term Tex-Mex just to mean a kind of American Mexican. But I don't think it is. I really think it is like maybe regional Texas Mexican versus maybe other
Yeah.
parts of the country that cook a little bit different. So anyway,
Okay.
to your menu, which I'm sure is amazing and fabulous and Southern.
Yeah.
I will post the recipe on comeoverfordinner.com. So anyone looking to, there'll be a PDF. If you go to the recipes page, it's kind of like a blog post. And so you can just read it. If people pull it up on their phone or computer and don't want to print it, a lot of people cook from their phone.
Okay.
There is a PDF they can print. So basically you can just tell us the menu and I'll post all the details.
Wonderful. So I don't need to talk the details. That's great.
Unless there's something you really want to point out to us.
No.
Well, that you change or, whatever.
Well, I'll run down the list. So I like to do the pork ribs, and I like them because as a busy teacher, I can kind of, just ramp up to the weekend and know that I can get some house chores done. If you have a meat that's going to just like sit and cook itself, you can kind of get it going and then do some chores and other work that you want to do on Saturday and know that something delicious is like started.
And it's a slow cooked meat?
Yes, it's slow cooked. So you can sear it in the oven or on the grill. Probably with this weather, I will not be outside on the grill. We'll just keep it in the oven.
So you mentioned Traeger. Do you cook it on a Traeger when you're outside?
No, I was saying I don't have a Traeger.
Don't have a Traeger.
I feel like that would probably be the best, but we don't have one. But we'll do it on a grill. I'll sear it on the grill and then bring it in. But this weekend I'll probably just toss it in and sear it. Broil it, get it, and then turn it down. I cover with foil and just let it kind of slow cook all day. It smells good. And I'm not real picky about which ribs I get because you go to the store and you just look at from the top shelf down and they're all different prices. And to me, the $10 ones, I think they're called St. Louis, they just taste different than the other ones that are maybe a little bit more expensive. But we get a variety. I get a variety of them because then everyone can kind of pick and they all taste good. No, I don't think any of them are bad. So I usually, dry rub them and let them just cook all day. And it's
sounds pretty Southern to me.
Does it? My 18-year-old loves it. It's one of his favorites.
Oh, I can imagine.
It's a little tricky for the ladies who want to eat it, like with a knife and a fork. It's like, this is like where we're really just family and you just need to pick it up.
You got to pick up that rib and take a big old bite.
Yes.
and go wash your hands later.
Right. So paper napkins are kind of nice on this night. So I'll do the pork ribs and then all the sides just make it so much fun. We love doing cornbread, and we've got a lot of allergies at our house with all the, not in our own household, but with relatives. I have a brother-in-law who's has a dairy allergy, but it's not like, it upsets my stomach. It's like anaphylactic. So we just are like, well, let's keep them alive. So we try and make alterations for dairy. And then we've got some other regulars who are more sensitive to gluten. So it's nice when there's a bunch of different sides that you can kind of, there's some
choose. Things,
pick around.
Even if they can't eat every single thing, there's multiple things they can put on their plate. They're not just having a plate of ribs, which might be nice. My teenage boy would think that was great because he would do that, and I have to say, go back sides.
Yeah,
vegetables.
Yes,
it's not called a meat plate here.
I don't know what it is, but once I became a mom, I was suddenly aware of who's eating vegetables and how much.
Yes.
I thought, what was that? What happened?
Especially when my boys decided, when they all started making their own plates, because my daughter liked salads and things like that. And the boys, I would turn around. I mean, literally turn around and there's a plate of meat. They skipped everything else. I'm like, guys, come on.
Yes. No, mine know that they're supposed to eat
Head
it.
back.
So they'll just stand at the counter and do their due diligence, stand at the counter, just eat it and be like, got my veg.
Like a rabbit, just shove some lettuce
no
leaves
dressing.
in. Yes.
Yeah, just get to the meat. Get to the meat. So
same.
And my son's big. He's a 6'3" big guy. And so he can pack it away. We've saved so much money as he's moved out.
All of a sudden, there's a lot more money for the grocery bill.
Right. I was way overspending and overbuying. So anyway, so the pork is great. Then the cornbread is fun. And my trick here that I like to say is that I do put butter in it. My brother-in-law can't have butter. This is the weird thing. He can't do milk. It's just what part he's allergic to. So he can do trace amounts of butter. So I would say I up the butter on a little bit of extra sugar, and I put that can of cream of corn in it.
Yes.
I'm sure you've
Gives it
heard
lots
of
of
this.
moisture.
Yes, I don't like dry cornbread. I like it really moist, and we still put honey butter on it. So, and then the potatoes are kind of a Sumpter thing. It's such a big hit at our house. I'll do them with all kinds of meals, but this one in particular, I just stick with the roasted potatoes. And I wrote here that I spend money on potatoes, which sounds kind of weird because it's like, well, maybe you should spend your money on the meat, but those little creamer ones, those little round ones,
Those are so cute.
They're really delicious,
And they're very soft and creamy. And
yes.
it does something different for Sabbath dinner.
It is. I wouldn't buy them during the week. You can get old russets for during the week, but on the weekend I'll get those. And I like to even cut them in half because to us, once you get them like kind of crisp and oil, like even the small ones aren't small enough. I'm like, they got to be even smaller. We need more area that's getting crisp and oiled.
Almost like you're doing fried potatoes, except
Yeah.
not. I mean,
Right.
you call them roasted potatoes, but like you're saying, they're crispy on all the sides when you take a bite.
Right. They're real crispy. And we just kosher salt them. And because we also have family that can't do garlic and onion. And so, I mean, it's kind of like there's a lot of different issues going on. So sometimes meat and potatoes is really just very good and straightforward.
You really do mean meat and potatoes.
Yes, yes. And then you can pick your sides, and everyone's very gracious about it. So we do those potatoes, and with our allergies, I think it's the yummiest and safest way to do it. And I just really babysit them. I'm a kind of an organized person, but I don't know if I'm really precise. And so I just kind of babysit them in the oven until and you don't want to undercook them. That's like a temptation to be like, oh, they're done. It's like, but no, they're not done.
If they're not really tender.
If they're not crisp and tender on the inside, and you don't want to overburn them. So I set them for a certain time. I think I put down like 20 minutes, and then I start babysitting them and flipping them and getting them close to being ready. And I love using the parchment paper underneath so they don't stick.
Yes, and clean up's a breeze. And then, of course, if you're tasting them to know that they're done, this is the benefit of being the cook in the kitchen.
Right.
You can sample a few. Make sure they're really nice and crisp and tender.
Right. Make sure they're perfect. Yeah. Well, we do slaw with it. And because we don't do the milk, I find that you can actually make your own homemade dressing without milk just fine, as long as you have enough lemon juice and vinegar in it. It's just fine. So we make our own. I don't buy the bottle. I think it tastes fresher when you get
it
fresh
does
lemon.
taste better when you do your own.
Yeah.
And this is a great recipe to have because I actually have a family member too that's dairy free. And I don't think I have a slaw recipe.
Yeah.
I always would think mayonnaise or buttermilk or you put something in there that has something to do with dairy.
Right. And I'm sure those would taste really good. I think just because of our allergies in the family, we just say, well,
you need a recipe on standby when you're serving people that would love to have some coleslaw but can't if you make it with dairy in it. So.
Yes. So we do the slaw. So that to me, that's almost like the salad for this meal, is because you can get the green cabbage and the purple cabbage and the carrots. And if I want to chop it up, I can, or if I want to buy a bag, if it's in a hurry. And you, of course, know like it shrinks. So I always take that into account. Look, you make more than you make it. It looks big, but then by the time you get it to the table an hour later after I sauce it, it's like, oh, it's half of what it is.
And that's a good tip to make your coleslaw early because you need the flavors to meld.
Yeah.
If you mix it together and then just put it on the table, it really won't taste very good. You need it to sit for a minute and have time to
and it makes the
cabbage.
Dressing. Yeah, it does something to the cabbage. But it's funny because I feel like don't do it too early, but don't do it too close to dinner. I sort of think an hour before. And then it's like not too soggy, but you still get a little crisp. So we'll do that. And then we do, my sister-in-law has this recipe. It's the Pioneer Woman, the baked beans.
I love those baked beans.
Do you? Yeah, they're so with
had 'em
bacon
before.
on top. It's just another level. So we love the baked beans. Roasted corn, this is another Kate Sumpter trick. You feel like you're having something really special, but it's just a frozen bag of corn. And you saute them up with bacon grease and onions and then just put them on a tray and roast them in the oven. And you feel like you're having like fresh corn.
I'm doing that tonight.
It's so good.
So you don't have to defrost your corn first?
Oh, that's a good question.
Because honestly, the frozen corn. You wouldn't think so if she's putting, like if you saute it, so it's maybe getting a little, it's defrosting probably right then. And then if you're putting in the oven too.
Yeah, no, that's a question for her because with all the help we have for Sabbaths, dinners, I usually like make the menu and I make the core stuff and just ask for sides. So I never made it because she's just always like the corn
we will
expert.
Clarify, and I will make sure it's in the instructions.
Is it actual
this
frozen?
Delicious.
It is, and it just makes something like $1 bag of frozen corn, or $2 worth of corn taste like you have something a little special. That bacon grease, the guys love it.
Oh yes.
So that's the corn. And then I might add my great grandma's beans. You know how she was real Southern, and she just have the whole spread of food, just tons of options. But she'd always do the ham hock with her green beans. So I do that or don't do that. I like it. And I joke about my mom's fruit ministry. She brings fruit every week. She cuts up so much nice fresh fruit from Safeway, which for some reason, I think their fruit tastes better. Maybe it's just that my mom's cutting it. But
they probably get really fresh stuff.
They do.
Sometimes seem to have very good produce.
Yeah, they're cantaloupe, but she'll make a lot of different fruit. Like she'll cut up a lot of different fruit. I call it her fruit ministry. And then she leaves it for my family.
What a treat for the kids.
For Sunday
the
morning.
Whole family, but what a treat.
So Sunday morning. And so we all have our fresh fruit. Whatever meal we do, we basically have just like this beautiful fresh fruit. And she'll do strawberries, blueberries, cantaloupe, pineapple, whatever's in season or not. And so that's kind of a hit because sometimes little kids, we've got a lot of little kids in our family. My kids are the big ones in the Sumpter side here.
Okay.
And so like the littles, like they don't look at coleslaw and think that looks like fun. It's nice to load them up with some fruit.
And you may have to convince them on baked beans if you tell them there's bacon involved. Baked beans are delicious, but sometimes kids, you're right, they're a little picky and they want something. They might just eat a bite.
Meat and bread and fruit. They want it all separated. And so,
So you want the parents to go home happy too, not have a kid with a meltdown who didn't eat.
Right.
So the fruit tray is a good backup.
It is. And always with all the little kids, I find if I get a bag of chips, which are getting expensive these days, if I just put out a bag of chips, I mean, you don't want the kids just filling up on chips.
Sure.
But it's Sabbath and it's fun. And they just get such a kick. They'll clean them out like sour cream, cheese, chips or Doritos. So I don't do it every week, but if I do get it out and add it to whatever meal, the littles are very excited.
Very, very pleased with their Sabbath dinner.
And same goes for sprinkles. Aunt Jenny just keeps a stock of sprinkles, rainbow ones, chocolate ones, purple ones, gold ones, whatever. And they get so excited. I usually serve the little kids dessert first because the grown-ups are drinking their coffee and just like letting dinner settle. And I'll say, okay, some of my nieces and nephews don't say their R's right. So it's dessert. And I'll say, dessert, it's dessert. Oh, ice cream and dessert and sprinkles. And they just line up and they just special order. They're like, I want a brownie and chocolate ice cream and
that is so
sprinkles.
Cute.
And if I can get whipped cream, even my 18-year-old gets excited.
Yes. This sounds like an amazing menu. So would you normally with this menu serve ice cream, brownies, sprinkles? Is that your go-to or do you have another one?
I think we do a lot of different desserts. And so the one I put down here is just one of those like comfort. It's my oldest son's favorite. It's a box mix. You mix cherry pie filling in. So it's really moist with this really rich chocolate frosting. But we are content with brownies and ice cream. I've taken to getting Ferdinand's ice cream. I don't know. Have you done this?
Where do you buy Ferdinand's?
At Ferdinand's.
So you
at
go to Pullman? Mm-hmm. So Ferdinand's, tell us about Ferdinand's because most people won't know unless they're local.
Right. And so, and other people, if they're listening far away, I'm sure, I don't know if universities have these creameries, but it makes it less expensive, but it's delicious. So
I've sampled some at events in the community when they've done this. They go buy this and serve it like at the Grace Agenda.
Yes,
someone did that. And it was delicious.
It is. It's a treat.
Tell me how to obtain this.
So I will usually buy a 3-gallon and it lasts me for the month for, serving as sides. And it's great like in the summer if you have someone drop in. We had this college guy drop in. We're like, you want some ice cream?
Oh,
everyone says yes.
Like, that would be a regular drop in after a while.
Yeah. Or a teenager stay. Yeah. The kids, friends come over and they just get it out. And it's this huge 3-gallon box and it just comes in this cardboard box. But the cheap way to do it is to go to the store. So you have to pay for parking. So you got to get out and put your, 50 cents in. And now you have to do it on a card and not coin. So it is a little bit of a labor, but it's not like that hard. It lasts you a whole month.
Okay.
So if I get over there, their cheese is good. Their Cougar Gold is $24 if you buy it in the store, but anywhere at the local grocery stores, it's like $38, $40. They really jack up those prices. So you can get their Cougar Gold.
What is Cougar Gold? A cheddar?
It's their aged cheddar. It's really good. It's what they're known for.
Good. I have not tried that.
That's a good one for serving meat and cheeses, if we're doing that kind of an evening, I'll get I think we bought 3 over the holidays. Over the course of the holidays, we had 3 rounds.
To serve, like, what do they call those big platters that people put together?
Charcuterie.
Charcuterie.
Charcuterie. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, I don't know if I have the gift for those. Like, I kind of can do them, but sometimes people really, I feel like I need to take a class or something. There's like an art to it that I like kind of get, but
I haven't done a lot of them either.
Yeah, they're really pretty when I've seen them. So, but it's great for that. But the ice cream, if you get, what do they call it? They call it their surprise.
Ooh.
And so what they do is they discount it. So normally you buy 3 gallons and it's like $45.
Okay.
And you get all of one flavor. But if you get their surprise, they will guarantee what ice cream's on top. So they'll give you a little list. It's just like written down, and they've got black marker next to it. And so it'll be like, okay, we've got these, we've got pumpkin, which is kind of funny. We've got Tin Lizzy, we've got vanilla. And then you are guaranteed that you will have half of it. So 1.5 gallons at the top of one kind of ice cream. And then underneath is a surprise. And they just say it will go together. We won't give you like mint and, I don't know, pumpkin, like all in
it's
one.
something you could serve together to guests.
Yeah, as it kind of you get through. So we buy these, and it's delicious ice cream. And if you're okay with the surprise, you can pick half of it. And we've never been disappointed with the other half, And sometimes it's even the same one. We did peppermint at Christmas, and it just kept going. It was like, it's all peppermint.
It's all peppermint.
It was good. But if you buy it normal, it's $45 for the 3 gallons. But if you get it discounted, it used to be $25 in the summer. They just upped it to $30. So it's still $15 less. Wow. And it's delicious ice cream. And it's nice to just stock in the freezer.
Yes. And typically you can only buy a 1/2 gallon in the store.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe some stores sell 1 gallon. I'm not sure. But usually the 1 gallon's a pretty cheap ice cream. It doesn't taste very good.
And this is good. This is good quality ice cream. So anyway, I don't know if other places have creameries, but the universities make it economical.
And you can't get fresher than that.
No, it's
Having
good.
cows down the road produce your ice cream.
Right. So I'll make the quest over there. They close at 4 p.m. So sometimes I'll do it in the morning. I'm not teaching mornings this year. And so I might make the quest in the morning over there.
It's worth it.
Yeah, get the ice cream.
I'm going to have to write this down for summertime or spring break.
I know. We're even getting it now. Peppermint at Christmas.
Yes.
Sumters do like ice cream. And so especially for the little kids, sometimes that's all they want. They might see the fancy apple pie or whatever dessert we picked, but they're like, I'll have ice cream.
Kids are definitely going to veer towards ice cream.
Yes.
I have a hard time talking my kids into pie.
Yes. Yes. So yeah, that's kind of it. We do the dessert. We do the whole 9 yards on the Sabbath. We don't really make desserts during the week, but try and definitely have them on Saturday night.
And about how many people do you have on your Sabbath dinner or during your Sabbath dinner?
It's not crazy big. I think our normal, because we have our family and some of my husband's siblings, and we have a couple regulars that come. And so around like 23, 27. Okay. And so we're really thankful for the house we just built. It's not huge, but we can fit everybody in. It's a great room. You have
a room that allows you to set up a lot of tables.
Yes. So there's 2 tables. I keep out during the week. I make them smaller, either 2 separate ones or 1 long one. But on the weekends, we just pull them all out to their biggest size, and we can sit everybody. And sometimes I have to have kids at the island, which is just fine.
Which they don't mind. They're closer to the ice cream and the sprinkles.
That's right. And they spin.
And the
chairs spin. And yeah.
Oh I remember my grandmother having spin chairs, the ones that they swiveled.
Okay.
I don't know how many times she told me and my twin sister to sit still.
Yes.
We would end up getting them at Thanksgiving dinner.
Yes.
Because they weren't the fancy chairs.
Yes.
And she would just sit still, girls. And could not help but swivel.
Yeah.
They're very fun. Okay, where do you look for cooking inspiration? Tell us kind of how you've created Sabbath menus. This is just to summarize, she mentioned it all, but just to recap this menu, because you really need to make this. Pork ribs, moist cornbread, roasted potatoes, slaw, baked beans, roasted corn, green beans, and chocolate cherry cake or brownies and ice cream. This is an amazing, very comprehensive menu, and you do this every week. And so I'm guessing you have lots of other menus in your rotation. So how did you create this?
Oh yeah, I don't know. I like looking at pictures. I still like looking at like old recipe books that I have stashed in my kitchen, because sometimes I think visualizing it makes you, is good. I even wrote out a list. I just stuck it on the side of my fridge of like regular meals because half the battle is just deciding what to make. Cook. And I always decide by Wednesday because that's when I have a little text group and I text the regulars. Here's what I'm thinking. Tell me what you want to bring? Because they'll always help bring some of the sides or drinks. Nice. And then, so I think, old fashioned cookbooks, just having a list. I have a list of things that I know go over really well with the family that they like. I try to rotate and our group's really pleased with like hamburgers. And if I'm really busy during a week, taco night, no one complains about tacos.
Complains about taco night.
No,
it's delicious anytime.
Pork carnitas, that's another easy one. And so, I just kind of have like a running list in my mind and I just kind of cycle through. And sometimes it's like, what am I in the mood for? I really want to make that. Or ask the kids or ask my husband, I'm thinking making this or this. And I was like, oh, you should do this one.
I'm really craving tacos or whatever.
Yeah. And we'll do seasonal things. Like our crew likes the, what is it? The Irish one. What is it? Corned
beef and cabbage.
We'll do the corned beef and cabbage. We'll do
delicious.
We just did a mini Thanksgiving 2 weeks ago because I had a little turkey from Thanksgiving left over. And so that's always a hit. Meat and potatoes is always a hit. But so we have our regulars, recipes, Instagram. Well, not Instagram, Pinterest.
Okay.
Pinterest.
So then I think when you see a main dish and you have that, like let's say hamburgers, just to keep it simple, you have hamburgers and you start thinking about what goes with that.
Yes.
And if you do it a time or two, you realize, well, that went well and this didn't go well, or wow, we needed more food, or,
Right. Right. Yeah. I'm really good at like judging how much food for our group. It's when we get bigger that I lose my intuition. I have an intuition for about 25 people, but beyond that, I'm sort of like, is it enough?
Do I have enough? I know for me, sometimes if a recipe says servings 6, and you're having 18 come. For me, I would never do just 3 recipes because that would be the bare minimum.
Right.
And so I would say do 4.
Right.
And the other thing I would consider is like some recipes say serve 6 to 8.
Okay.
Don't ever go with the to 8.
Yeah.
Always go with 6.
Right. I always am concerned I will have 2 less. So I always tend to overestimate. And I'm glad I do because sometimes you have just enough. It always seems like we have plenty.
Sure.
And it's nice to have leftovers for church. Some weeks we don't pull it off, but most of the time we do. But I'm like you, I would probably over plan and plan to have more I try and have it. It doesn't always work out that way. I don't think I've ever had not enough. But maybe people are being polite and holding back. But
well, probably not. I mean, especially if you're encouraging them, go back for seconds or something like that. I feel like it's always better to err on a little bit more than we just barely have enough. And you have to factor in, this is something I've learned over the years. You might factor in, say a recipe serves 6 and you're having a family over that has 4 children, 4 small children.
Right.
Well, sure, you're going to have lots.
Yes.
Yes. But if they have 4 teenagers.
Yes, it's
4
a different
growing
story.
Children who are starving because they're all on growth spurts, then your recipe is not enough. You need to go to, double the recipe or whatever. So you kind of have to look at the age group as well.
Yeah.
To know, the quantity of food, and expect 12 and older are going to eat like adults.
Yes.
And there will be times they don't, but expect that they will. I mean, that's my experience.
Yeah. No, I think that's good.
And then I feel like if I have leftovers, for one, like you said, you could serve it on Sunday the next day for lunch. You don't have to, you can pull out leftovers. You can freeze, if it's a freezer type meal, you could do that. Or one thing I find fun, like if I have my son and daughter-in-law over, they're both seniors in college right now. If I have them over and have a container of soup left over, well, send it with them for the week. They're both busy college students,
That's good.
So if you have, a college kid over, send a box of leftovers home and they will just love you to death.
That's right. No, it's true.
So, anyway, those are some tips. All right. What about shopping or cleaning tip? Do you have any particular inspiration for us?
I'm the elementary teacher. And so I like to plan ahead. I feel like less stress if I just kind of plan ahead, but not be too stuffy about it. So my planning for a Saturday night kind of starts on Wednesday. And Wednesday is like email everybody. It's sort of my decide what I'm making, text everybody just so they can plan and not be last minute. So Wednesdays are like, okay, text everybody, confirm everything. Thursday, I try and just make sure all my grading is done. I really push on Thursday nights because I really want to hit the weekend without a lot of stuff and just focus on pivot back to home. So Friday we clean, and I have really helpful teenage daughters at this stage where I don't like cleaning without them because it takes 3 times as long. If we just say 1 hour, 3 jobs, even 12-year-old boy, we crank it out. So I try and clean on Friday. So I am kind of like ramping up all week. Starting on Wednesday, I start ramping up for Saturday, and Saturday, we set the table sometimes early in the day, like around lunchtime. We have an island so kids can eat breakfast and lunch there. They tend to on Saturdays anyway. And then we can set the table early, and the house is already clean. We have dogs. We have 2 golden retrievers. So I always feel like get all the hair out of this house on Friday. And so it's just a ramp up like that. So then I grocery shop. Well, this week I already did most of it on Wednesday because I'm teaching all day Thursday and Friday this week. And so I was like, there's no time on Thursday and Friday.
So organized. That's wonderful to have a plan.
It's kind of how I function. I know some people aren't that way, and I always marvel and think it's fun when I hear people talk about how they shop the day of. I'm like, I can pull off last minute stuff, and I'm always grateful for it. But because I'm doing so many things, it's just nice to just like pick away at it. And so I know on Saturday, if I can get to a place where I don't have to leave the house, because I leave the house every day.
Sure.
I'm like, you get momentum, and I just love our home, and I want to be there. So I'm sort of like a long planner, but I do that same way with my elementary. I plan, you plan the week, the next week you plan it Tuesday of what you plan the next week on that Tuesday.
So you're prepared when you're there.
Yeah. And so, of course, always curveballs happen, and we are all for like last minute hospitality. We've done, like, hey, can someone come over? And it's like, you're digging through the freezer, like, what do we have? And,
ice cream.
There's this one cake I made for someone. It was from a friend, and it's called chocolate mayonnaise cake. So it's sort of like you use mayonnaise as your oil.
I've made that years and years ago.
Yeah. So I'm like, I got cocoa powder, I got mayonnaise and flour. So I've done those things. But with our Sabbath, it's nice to sort of ramp up and have the kids help and plan. And then you're in good shape for the weekend, and you hit Sunday and you feel like you can rest. The house is, usually in decent order. The kids are so helpful because, when everybody leaves, we might vacuum and we have 2 dishwashers. That was
That's so wonderful.
It is wonderful when they're both working. We've had a lot of like one or the other. Different issues. It's been a long saga. We have a lot of iron in our water, and one of the dishwashers,
so you have a filter.
We have an amazing filter, but one of them just kept shooting all the dishes full of iron. They turn yellow. You're putting iron out on them. It's like, what, you just washed everything. You got to wash everything again to get the iron out of them. Well, we realized that our plumber hooked it up to our well, straight to the well line. And so it's just iron water. I mean, this is the kind of water you let sit, and we have a high content of iron. So anyway, once we figured that out, we were like, yes, we have 2 dishwashers.
Solved.
Yes, it was a mystery for a while. So now we have 2 working dishwashers,
Wonderful.
which on Saturdays is just great because you can put.
You have 20-something people. That's wonderful. You can just fill them up and press start and walk away.
Right. So that's how I prepare for it. I know it's not how everybody would function.
But that's one thing I love about the podcast is that everyone offers their different ideas that work for them. Yes. And the people listening can say, that works for me, or that's my personality too, or I like that idea, and so you're right. It's not a right or a wrong issue. It's more of what fits with your family. Right. So I love it. All right. Your best advice for showing warm hospitality to those coming into your home. And you've said lots of things already, so I don't know if you have anything past what you've already said.
No, I hope our home is warm. My mom says it is, which is sweet because I think her home's warm. I'm like, well, my home's not like mom's, but she says my home's warm and welcoming. So I think that I'm honored that she says that.
That's high praise coming from mom.
From mom, whose home is like sort of the epitome of like comfort, And so I think it's little things from first of all, foundational. My husband says we can't give what we don't have. So our hospitality needs to be an overflow of what's going on at home. So that's sort of, fundamental. But then beyond that, like practical things, I'm really funny about lighting. Like lighting to me is half the decoration. So candles, we got those kerosene lanterns. They don't smell great after a long evening, but when in Idaho and all the dark, anything that just kind of glows is so nice.
And these are kerosene lanterns you can light and put on your table.
Yeah, they're like the little globes. They had them at Walmart.
yes.
They just stopped carrying them, but they serve.
It's like
they do
the
like
old
Cracker Barrel.
Yes, I know what you're talking about. Where you fill the base with oil and there's a wick, and yes, I know what you're talking about. I've never used them,
and so they last longer than candles. And sometimes we'll do tea lights. My girls are really into candles, so if they're willing to do all the tea lights, I'm like, just go, you do it. And my husband got me these electric candles for. He actually used birthday money of his own in November. And
so sweet.
I'm East Coast. And so, you know how East Coast people put like little candles in the windows, you know?
Yes.
And so you can put their battery operated, remote control battery operated. So you feel like a little, what do you call it? Hogwarts. You just kind of go around clicking your lights on.
Clicker.
Yeah. And so those are in the window. I love music. I always feel like we need a soundtrack. And so if I'm making Italian food, I might put Italian music on. We always go to
that.
Like jazz, or if it's Mexican food, I'll put the Buena Vista Social Club. I like them. They're Cubans and kind of chill and not like obnoxious, you know. So, but I like music. I like lighting. Usually try and have a candle somewhere. And, you know, I think the brother-in-laws appreciate not too dim. So we do, like, it's like a balance of like,
we can see each other, but it's not, you know,
too bright.
Like you're in Walmart.
Right. Yeah. I'm somewhere, but I'm all about dimmers and finding, you know, so lighting and, so that's some of it.
Okay. Those are great ideas. What is your must-have kitchen item and where can we find it?
Oh, I don't know. You asked that one and I'm not sure that I really know. I like big pans. I like good knives. I like cutting boards and, you know.
Well, when you're cooking
cast iron
every single week, and just every single day, there's just so many to list. So
I like my
that's
big,
okay if you don't have a favorite.
No, I like my big sheet pan. I love bowls. I feel like you can't have enough shoes or bowls. And so bowls are my favorite. Glass ones, plastic ones, melamine ones that are pretty, or big old glass ones. I tend to break them. The big ones. You can't get too
so you can't have too
attached to those. Yes. And so I find them at Goodwill. You can find good ones.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
Because people, when they're cleaning out their home, spring cleaning, fall cleaning, or doing an estate sale, and there's leftovers. I mean, they just take everything.
Yeah, some of the best stuff I find
some great deals there.
Yeah.
Jenny, thank you so much for joining me today. It has been so much fun. I will make this menu as soon as possible. This will definitely remind me of my southern roots.
Okay. Yeah, you're real Southern. You'll
And it passes. It passes the test, the litmus test. You're asking if it's Southern enough. It passes.
Okay, good.
I think all the Southern listeners would agree.
Oh, good.
All right.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy day. Until next time.